Listen, please, people. What's up with my brothers and sisters out there, you know what I'm saying, that's tuning in. I'm hoping and praying this message is reaching my brothers and sisters on the continent, Black Africa, man. Another blessed day, man. I want to give thanks to Allah for this day, man. And I pray, you know what I'm saying, everybody, you know what I'm saying, had the spirit and mind to serve others beside themselves. They have a productive day, a joyous day. And I pray you end this day like you started. Man, let me get to it. I'm kind of being a little brief today, man, you know what I'm saying, and just touch on the things, man. I've been, checking out stuff, man, myself, you know what I'm saying, and I'm making this suggestion because there's so much information. And I did a lot of studying, you know what I'm saying, about our people, I did a lot of studying the history of where I come from on the shores of the West of the United States. I did extensive study on my ancestors, you know what I'm saying, where I come from as an African, a black African, you know what I'm saying. So I did a lot of study of the continent, you know what I'm saying, present time, ancient time. We got a long, rich history, man. That continent have a long, rich history. Everything started there, so we must study it. We must study our history, man. And from the time of a lot of the brothers and sisters being given, the ones who was given their independence, meaning that they former colonizers, masters, they didn't have to fight them. They didn't fight them for their revolution. They didn't fight them for their freedom. They didn't fight them for their liberation. What happened was the colonizers, you know what I'm saying, with deception, gave them a form of independence, which wasn't complete freedom, which wasn't complete liberation. And they knew this here, and those who they installed in power knew it too. And so my thing for the brothers and sisters out there on the continent, and my suggestion is that we need to really go back and study what took place in a lot of those country movements towards independence. We need to study the leaders, what went into certain particular leaders becoming the rulers of those nations. We really got to figure out who was who really had the best interest, who really had the best plan, who was actually trying sincerely. Though mistakes are going to be made because we're not perfect. And we got to study our history, understand what we was coming out of, who was prepared to lead, who was educated and capable to lead, and what it was going to seriously take coming out that form of oppression, that everybody's going to understand. It was going to have to be willing to make sacrifices. That everybody wasn't going to probably be there to see a system created that was going to benefit everybody. So that means some people was going to die, but they're going to die knowing that they was going to be free and working toward complete liberation, self-governance, self-sufficient, self-rulership. The nation being uplifted. Everybody participating. Everybody willing to make sacrifices, do the hardship to make this happen. And at the same time, you study what went on during those times. Please, people, listen, please, people, study other people. And other people in particular who had successful revolutions, successful complete liberations of themselves from their colonizers, from their oppressors. I would ask some of our brothers and sisters, irregardless on how you think your ideology is today and shaped by your education and who you influence, study Mao Zedong of China. Study that revolution. Study Ho Chi Minh. of Vietnam. Study that revolution. Study Fidel Castro now. Study that revolution. Study, man. Please, people, study Nkrumah when he took power in Ghana. Study the aspect and read some of his books on what he had to deal with, what he was up against. Though people who write his history or try to make like he was a dictator, but when you study how he was a thinker, able to show some form of compassion even to those who was working with with the previous colonizers to keep the same system in play that would allow the colonizers to continue to maintain control of the country economically. But he was appealing to these same people to come back and participate in the governance, in the economy, of them being able to be free and create for themselves, and being completely free of their colonizers, and being able to rule for themselves. So everybody benefit. All the stuff he was up against, all the different tribes he had to try to bring together to get them to see unity. Study these people, my people, on the continent, so you'll be able to understand how is today the past affect the present right now. Why is it that, you know what I'm saying, the leaders that on the continent today is so locked in to their former colonizers. They're so locked in. Their allegiance and oaths are to those white colonizers, white male colonizers, those families, the Rothschilds, the Russell, Cecil Russell families, the Rockefellers. They gave their oath and allegiance to these white males, white families, to maintain deals and to maintain economic control of the continent. And so when you hear about brothers who threaten their own brothers to keep an oppressive government and to keep a person to govern over them, that when you see from the evidence that this person was robbing the country, had stacks of money stacked up in his home, in his house. You have certain officials, money, suitcases of money. This not the only people. This not the only leaders that was that engaged in that behavior and doing it. It's current leaders today that's doing it. You know, on the continent, it's in position of leadership. But these same people want the people to keep these people over them for the sake of democracy. And so when you hear people screaming about democracy, what they're screaming is, we got to, at all costs, uphold the oaths and deals of our former colonizers that they made when they had us under oppression. When they forced us to, some of our chiefs and our leaders to sign certain treaties they didn't even understand, or they did it out of fear. And so these same people who scream democracy at all costs, hold constitution at all costs, they are ruling like some of the ones who use the people's money to maintain a system It's only going to benefit them, their family, their support system that allow them to stay in power. In the same military that these people have a disdain for, when they come in and get rid of the civilian rulership, be the same military that have been used by some of these civilian leaderships to maintain their rule. They won't be able to do this if they don't have control of their military. They won't be able to do it. So when people talk about let's go back to civilian rule, let's go back to civilian being able to gain control of all the layers of power. The judiciary, the legislators, and the military, to maintain our rule, to allow us to continue to live lavish lifestyles, to go to Europe and buy homes, spend our money in Europe, spend our time living in Europe, while people stay locked in a condition of weakness, disease, confusion, conflict, division. And you have those intelligent and sane say this is what they need to keep in place, this democracy. This system that allow for civilians to withhold bogus deals that was made to keep the colonizers in control of their countries. Allow for the colonizers to organize and support their money organizations to be formed, like the African Union, for the sole purpose to maintain stability. Stability means they can keep their deals intact at all costs. African Union means we can deflect. When we created the European Union, and we united all those former Soviet European countries into one bloc, which is an act of nationalism, white nationalism, European nationalism, white nationalism. That we don't want the people around the world to think that we're engaging in white nationalism, racial identity. So let's get our African slaves to form an organization, African Union, and they call it African Union. Let's form an organization that protect the African Union, that keep that system of democracy in play over their people, that keep the country stabilized so we can continue to rob and steal, so we can come and set up bases, create conflict and justify us being in a country with bases in our military. But this is only there for those military and those bases that serve our interest, to make sure our chosen leaders stay in positions of power and the people stay weak. They can't rise up because they too focused on trying to survive, too focused on trying to feed their belly, too focused on trying to clothe themselves from the harshness of environment. They're not concerned with politics. They're not concerned with what their leaders are doing. So their leaders are able to go out, throw a little money here, create little distractions and parties here and there, just to appease the appetites of their people, to make like they're doing good, to make like it's progress. Look at the buildings, look at the road, while the majority of the people still starving, still don't got clean water, still don't got lighting, still don't got housing, still don't have food. Still don't have protection. This is what's going on the continent, brothers. And this is why a lot of the countries, man, are engaging in revolution. And hopefully a lot of these leaders are sincere. I pray a lot of these leaders are saying that they are changing course. They are not accepting the status quo. They're not willing to continue with this democracy that their colonizers have gave them to uphold, who have trained and educated them to hold on to this form of democracy, to hold on to this form of systems that continue to oppress their people and support white supremacy, white nationalism. White imperialism. I hope and pray these brothers who have decided to deal with these cancers, the enemies within, are not repeating the mistakes of the past, trading in one bad ruler for another, or the deception and manipulation of this diabolical entity, colonizers. They know who to go to within the military to get them to say, hey, we need to remove him to stop this wave, to stop this fire. So go placate to the people, appease the people, feel like you're a part of this fire, but you're going to uphold democracy in this system. You're going to make sure our deals stay intact, and you're going to be the one who benefit your family and your supporters. So right now, go play the role. Right now, get as close as you can to those other coup leaders who we need to know what they finna do. What's their next move? How they thinking? So play your part. I hope they are not doing that. Those leaders and military leaders in Gamba. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the country name wrong. But I hope those people who got rid of that bogus leader, who was robbing and stealing, and have been in rulership, his family, for so long. A rich country. No reason why the people should be in that position. No reason. And whoever comes to power in that country should be held to that fact that y'all got a rich country. There's no reason why everybody should be able to benefit. So whoever comes into place, it should be no results where it's leading to the same thing. The mass is still in poverty. The mass is still suffering. There should be no reason. There should be no reason for whatever leaders to come into existence. They should even take on high salaries until everybody is able to benefit from the riches of their country. So they know everybody is benefiting from their country. They shouldn't be riding around in old farm, Mercedes, Bentleys, and all that. None of that. Living lavish life until they know everybody in their country is benefiting. Knowing that the previous people who have been in play for 40-some years, been robbed and stole out the treasury of the money and wealth of the people. The military should be a people army. Should be for the people. They're supposed to guard against any structural system that's created by those people, any constitutional structural law that's created by those people. That is the job of the military, to maintain the integrity and foundation of the country, because it's for the people benefit. But when it ain't for the people benefit, it's only for a few. It's only for people who have made the country their own playground for their family. That's when the military is supposed to step in, because the military is for the people, by the people. It's there to protect the people. Not supposed to be a private army, private military for the corporate elites. That's why you see your former colleagues, they don't have no problem with those past dictators, sellout, boot-licking, Uncle Tom leaders being brutal, engaging in a form of hypocrisy or democracy. Because in this country, United States, their military is no longer the people military. I don't care what you hear from an American citizen about and how proud they talk about their military. It's not a people military no more. The American military is not for the people. They have become private owned, meaning their agenda is to maintain a force around the world. Intimidation, warfare for the sole purpose for the white male elite and white families to get in their country and set up their corporations. So when that military, that American military is coming, don't believe it's coming for freedom, to free some people. Don't believe it's coming because some people are starving. So they coming to fight against their starvation. Don't think they coming to fight an ideology, because they believe this ideology is going to oppress the people. They coming for one reason only. The interest or their corporate elite. It's something in their country they got to get. It's a need and an interest in their country they coming for. So they send their military in. They send their military in. Not the people in the military. They send their private military in. They just got the people over here in this country believing that the military is their military, because they said it to their people what the war and the sacrifices of their kids is for their freedom. So the freedom they enjoy over here is the reason why we need your kids, need your daughters, your sons to go die. But when it all said and done, they dying for the corporate elite to be more rich, to be more powerful, to be able to be the dictators of how humanity gonna go, what you're gonna do and what you're not gonna do. And so that's why they don't mind to be able to support those type of African dictators, those type of African sellouts, those type of Africans who got a mindset to keep their people enslaved, keep their people weak. And for my point that I'm trying to get to, because we got to study this past, analyze it, assess it. We got to study those successful revolutions, what they had to deal with, separating from their colonizers and not depending on their former colonizers, pushing to be self-sufficient, pushing to create a system that work for their people, for all their people. got to study. And then we got to go out and educate our people. Educate those who wasn't being educated. Education in the institution, they are not being allowed to get into those institutions. Education is not reaching a lot of the brothers and sisters who we're trying to fight and liberate, who have been suffering, who have been dying. Those things have not been able to reach them. Clean water, proper health system. It hasn't been able to reach them. If them are the people we trying to liberate, if them the people we trying to fight for, my brothers and sisters over there, them are the ones we got to educate. That's your force to win out over the intelligent insane who want you to accept democracy at all costs. The leader that ruled the last country, that shut down the internet when he was going to be re-elected, but it came back on and he was able to get a message out to plead for his help. African Union and those organizations over there will rather y'all put that person back in leadership, have him to continue to lead, be put in power so he can make sure he reorchestrate and rearrange things so he won't never be dethroned or coup d'etat won't never happen. They'll rather y'all put him back into leadership. They'll rather the Niger people to put that person back into leadership so he can get back in, orchestrate, and get rid of people so he can never be dethroned and the people can continue to exist on the oppressive system and watch their natural resources be stolen by their former colonizers and watch the people at the top live a luscious and lavish lifestyle and go in front of the world and play like they for the people. Go in front of the world and play like they for humanity. Go in front of the world and play like they're against oppression. Go in front of the world and play like they stand against their former colonizers, which they colonizers encouraged them to do. Keep in mind, the former colonizers, they encourage their puppets to play a role of, hey, play like y'all stand up against us. They encourage that. This is the form of deception that we don't understand, that these colonized, these white males deal in. They master this form of deception. They'll have their own people, you know what I'm saying, they can control encourage me, make sure you go and and say you oppose us. You against us. Don't worry about it. We're gonna be good. We need you to do that. And we're gonna play our part and make it look good. Study only allows us to be able to see the tactics and strategies of our enemy. When we don't study, we don't know how they come. We don't know how they move. We don't know how they operate. We don't know they are great masters of deception and deceit. We don't know that. So it'd be easy for us to fall into the hands of a sellout, of a bootlicker, an agent. The brothers who about true liberation and freedom got to educate the people on themselves. And we got to sometimes go and re-educate ourselves. That's my message to the brothers out there and sisters, man, who are true about liberating their people, or true about having a system that benefit everybody, and not the few, and not creating class systems. We got to, educate those who haven't been educated, haven't been fed. That's the minds and spirits and heart we got to go after to defeat this enemy and defeat the enemy within. Peace, my brothers.